welcome to the Rhema Virtual Experience. We are so happy you could join us today. We pray that time spent with us is impactful, powerful, and life-changing. If this is your first time with us, welcome. We love new friends. If you've been with us before or you are a current member, thank you for joining us again. There's a wonderful word prepared for you, and we can't wait for you to hear it. So let's get right into the message.
Word. This is a great time to be in the kingdom of God. Amen. This is a great time to be in the kingdom of God. I see a lot of you all are on. Um, I'm trying to look at my chat so I can see that you're on. My chat is not coming up, so I'm not sure why, but I do see many of you are on. So let's engage, like and share, and let everybody know that you're here and that you're on and that we're on. It is summertime. It is a Tuesday. People are not only vacationing, people are traveling. A lot of the educators that are connected to me, many of them are traveling. They're at workshops and conferences and stuff like that. People are on vacations and stuff like that. So we have to remind folk that we are on. Okay, we have to remind people that we're on. Um, and I want to welcome you to our um, midweek service. And I'm delighted you're on. More and more people are coming. Listen, I know you're on YouTube. If you have a subscription like I do to YouTube, perhaps share the link with a friend that may need this teaching for tonight. I'm going to be talking as you're preparing your heart and as you are worshiping the Lord and your heart is moved and you're thinking about the things of God and you're thinking about the word tonight. I am going to be talking about the things you need to know about a man. This is Father's Day that we just celebrated this past Sunday, and I felt that we needed to kind of continue to build on men, to build men, also to educate women about men, and even to the degree educating men about themselves. Because I'm finding out that unless we research, unless we talk to other men, unless we learn, unless we're constantly engaging, there are many things about ourselves that sometimes we may not know. And so I want to give clarity to manhood, give understanding to manhood. And so, things you need to know about man and his development, and who you're dealing with. Who you dealing with at 20? Who you dealing with if he's 30? Or anywhere between 25 and 30, in his 20s? Who are you dealing with in his 30s, from 30 to 40? Who you dealing with when he's 40? Because each of those stages is a who. Each of those stages is a what. And if I have understanding of who this this person is, then I can engage him on a whole nother level. Remember, because of a lack of knowledge, we perish. A lack of knowledge, we perish. So with knowledge, we live. I need you to put that on the screen. If I have knowledge, I can live. And with all thy getting, get understanding. So if I can understand what I'm learning, if I'm understanding what I'm learning, I can go to the next level. But knowledge, if the lack of knowing causes people to perish, what does knowing cause people to do? To live, to stand, to emerge, to progress. Oh, come on. I need everybody that's listening tonight. The lack of knowledge perish, but with knowledge I live. Come on, knowledge. I can live with knowledge. I need everybody that's watching me. With knowledge I live. It's good to see Jessica Finn, Brother Paul, MJ, Sister Knight, Sister Macon. God bless you. We're going to be dealing with some things. I need every woman of God, every mother, daughter, sister, grandmother, anyone that's dating or even married. This is not about relationships or anything like this. I am dedicating tonight, Tuesday and Sunday, we talk to men. And one of the reasons why I felt led to continue this conversation about men is because often we kind of treat men like they're secondary, and kind of, we kind of swim over them. Like I said this to my staff, that I don't want to treat men like we treat the offering at church. We do we spend a whole hour preaching. We spend another 20 minutes welcoming visitors, which we should do. We spend all that time. Then when it comes to offering, get your offering ready, boom, 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 5 minutes. I don't want to treat men like they're not significant and important. The lack of knowledge we perish, but with knowledge we live. So I need everybody. Listen, it's 7:07, 7:10. I'm going to jump into the word of the Lord. While you are getting prepared, I need you to go to this verse of scripture. I need you to go to 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. Go there. I need you to go there, get prepared. And I want maybe to turn on some worship music in your background, or even just preparing your heart just a little bit. Get that worship music up there, and let's just get our minds and our consciousness about what is God doing. Because listen, I need everyone to get this prophetic word. Everybody get this prophetic word. The church is on the rise. And I'm not just talking about Rhema, but there is an emergence of a reemerging of the powerful, anointed, prophetic church. God is about to now visit us in a fresh and a new way. I promise you, this is something that's happening. And God is there's a flood of people coming to church, and many of them will be unchurched. Are you hearing me? Many of them will be unchurched. But I see a revival of men coming. I believe men are coming. The next move of God, men will be the forefront. Now I need everybody to hear me say that don't mean women are excluded. I'm talking about a specific season where the flood of the glory of God is going to bring in men. Men. Somebody say men are coming. Men are coming. Somebody say men are coming. Males are coming. Men are coming. And they're coming from all walks of life. Many of them will be unchurched. Many of them will have not had a church history. Many of them will not know church lingo and church language, but they'll be hungry for God. They'll be hungry for the things of God. And so the church must get ready. So, ladies, so that you understand how to interact with a man, so that you'll understand how to move and flow when men are in your presence. It doesn't mean you're less, and it doesn't mean you have to shrink. But with all thy getting, we get understanding of who we are. And if I understand who I'm interacting with, I can more effectively interact with that person. Thank the saints of God that are coming on. Thank you for the chat. Like and share. Share the YouTube link with a friend tonight. Listen, 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. When I became a man, I put away childish things. Okay. Now, when I was a child, several things happened. When this word child is when I was immature, when I was young. Age does not mean maturity. Age does not mean that I've arrived. Okay. All within itself. John Passmore, one of my sons. God bless you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, John. I just talked about you, son. Just asked about you. So good to see you. Joyce, it's good to see you, girl. All of you good folk. Thank you. Thank all of you. Thank all of you for being on. Listen now. When I was a child, I spake as a child. This is how you know an individual is maturing, not by what not just simply their mouth, not just simply age. Okay. Paul says in this text, if we could exegete this text, when I was a child, I spake as a child, meaning that when people are immature, they have a language. They have a language. So when a person is immature, that's how they talk. 2, watch this. When I was a child, I speak as a child. So let me stop with speaking. So stop minimizing how you talk. Spend time learning to talk better, learning to communicate better, learning to articulate better, learning to process your thoughts better, learning to find creative ways to say, you know how sometimes I'm gonna give a person a piece of my mind. What about, let's unpack that. Let's regurgitate that and release it differently. What about finding a creative, more intelligent way to communicate what it is that you were going to speak your mind about? Because when I was a child, I spake as a child. Children don't have filters. Children say anything. Children just get things off their mind. Children don't care. Many of all you parents, raise your hand, lift your hands if you know what I mean. Your children will discuss things that's going on in a home that you saying, didn't I tell you not to say that? Boy, who told you? They will discuss anything. So you even have to teach children not to keep detrimental secrets. I ain't talking about rape, violation, abuse. Y'all hear the spirit of what I'm saying. But you do have to teach them what to speak and what not to speak. That's a sign of maturity. That's a sign of I'm learning emotionally. So Paul says, one of the marks of my maturity is I change how I talk. I change my language. I'm finding people maybe 35, but based upon their ability to communicate and articulate, they still 12 and 13 years old. Because we don't spend a lot of time understanding that your language gives an indication or how you interpret because language is not just talking, language is body language. Language is how you say things. Your language, when I spake as a child, there's many ways to speak. Verbally, your body. There's some of us who are 50, but our body language, we have the body language of a child. So your body speaks before your mouth do. Experts say body language is 60% of communication. So I have to learn how to communicate with my body. That says I communicate as an adult woman. I communicate as an adult man. You see? In other words, someone asks you a question and you shake your head. That's how a child communicates. Somebody asks you a question and say, uh-huh. That's how a child communicates. Or you don't know. Anytime somebody asks you a question, you just don't know. That's how children communicate. Come on, talk back to me. When I was a child, I spake as a child. You see, so these things are very critical to development. So I need you to write this down. Men and women, you're born a male or a female. You're born a male, you're born a female, but you're made a man or a woman. Let me say it again. You are born a male or female, but you're made a man or a woman. You see? So, in other words, development. Paul is telling us here, just as this one verse, that manhood is stages of development. We're talking about men, but this is not a gender specific here. You develop into manhood or womanhood. And I'm finding that many homes don't have environments of development. We of course, we all got together for Father's Day. Thank Mom, my sister, all of my family and friends. We all got together for what we just had Father's Day, right? And I said to my sister, that's the reason I'm mentioning her specifically. I said to my sister about her granddaughter who she is raising. I said, does she wash dishes? Is she washing dishes? And my sister said, yeah, she washes dishes. And my mom said, yeah, she washes dishes. See, because and I asked her how old was she, and I think she said 10, 11, 12, one of those. I don't remember. I talked to so many people. So anyway, right? So the reason I asked that question is because when I was 10, 11, 12, I was washing dishes, sweeping floors, taking public transportation. I got quiet because this is a part of growth and development. If your environment of accountability and responsibility helps you to develop in your language. If a child is around a parent who the only thing they do is yell, curse, scream, yeah, child, coming up with all kind of language. We don't have English language. But if a child is in an environment like that, you remember now, when I spake as a child, that child will always speak as a child. Because a mother and a father is supposed to be the modeling of even language. Anybody talking back to me? If all your child do is stay on a computer, I'm helping you, and I'm trying to teach you. Your child will lack in social skills. If all they do, I know parents, listen to me. I know you're tired. I know you're weary. I know you just want your child to be occupied. But you had a child. It is your responsibility to sometimes interact with that child so that child knows how to have a conversation. That child knows how to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. Articulate. How is it that the average little young male at 12 or 13 years old, MJ, help me with this, that they 12, 13 years old and they still bopping their head? When I can talk to a 7-year-old Caucasian boy who can almost have a conversation with me. Come on, Black families. You need to hear me now. I ask these questions for a reason. When I'm talking to young children, because I want to see what their speaking, communication level is on. But the sad part about it, I'm talking to 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds who almost talk the same way. So when I was a child, I spake as a child. Watch this. I understood as a child. So a part of the development is that I start changing my understanding. I start to receive understanding. That's a part of development. Watch this. I don't jump to conclusions. I start to get understanding first. People with understanding are people who ask questions. Write this down for me now. If you have understanding, if you're seeking understanding, before you jump to conclusions, you ask questions. People who want understanding ask questions. This is a part of people who still think like a child, act like a child, they jump to conclusions. But people who want to really know the heart of a thing, want to know the surgical, intimate things about something, they ask questions because they want understanding. Wanting understanding is a part of the maturing process. This is signs of maturity because I want to understand with all my getting, Solomon said, with all my getting, with all you're getting. There are people who get a lot, but they don't get no understanding. People who want understanding, they don't just hear something and run with it. They don't just see something and run with it. They ask questions. They even say, could there be more to it? You ask questions even about the question you're asking because you want understanding. Somebody said, with all that I get, I understand it. I must understand why I do what I do. I must understand. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So when I was a child, I talked like a child. I spake like a child. I understood as a child. And I thought like a child. You might think that understanding understanding is how you perceive things, how you see things is understanding. Thinking is how you envision it, your thought process, how you are processing a particular thing, whether your thinking is positive, whether your thinking is negative, whether you're constantly complaining, whether you're constantly, unhappy. You're thinking. How do you think? Do you think your age? I want everybody, if you're not afraid of your age, write your age on the screen for me tonight. I'm gonna put my age on the screen. No, I'm not. I just told a story. Okay, so if you're 44, put 44. If you're 70, put 70. If you're 53, put 53. Miss Barnhill's 53. Boom. Rosa, you're 60. Boom. Okay. So you see, so if you're comfortable, so the question is, so that we're processing this properly, do I think my age? Do I think beyond my age? Am I maturing at the speed of my age? Or do I process things? Do I speak at the level of my age? I pray and ask the Lord for wisdom. One of the reasons why I pray this question is because I don't want to be 70 years old thinking like a 40-year-old. You see? So when someone interacts with me, there is an expectation. All of us have done this. Everyone has done it. He 30 years old and he talking like that. He should know better. Why? Because we have a reasonable expectation that people are emotionally, mentally developing at the age of their numerical age. We expect it out of each other. But one of the things that's going to help us tonight, come on, y'all, this is going to help us. Age doesn't mean maturity. Maturity is talking different, speaking different, and thinking different, understanding differently. That's where maturity comes from. If I'm not challenging these three areas of my life, I will never be mature, no matter what my age is. You see, therefore, you say, well, why is this important? Because I am handed destiny not based upon my age, based upon my capacity and my readiness, my maturity. You see. So are we now watch this. The last statement of this verse, we're still exegeting this text, this particular verse. I became a man, put away childish things. I want to work this backwards. Childish. meaning that I can be a man and still be childish. 2, I put away. Growing up is a choice. Number 1, let's back up. Childish, meaning that I can be a man and be childish based upon how I talk, how I think, and how I understand. Sometimes we all have childish moments where we're not thinking about sometimes who we are. We're not thinking about our destiny. We're not thinking about our future. We make bad choices all of a sudden. So you're 70 years old, but you made a little 30-year-old choice. Am I making sense here? So childish. I can be a man and be childish. 2, I put away. Growing up is a choice. Maturing is a choice. You see? And then I became, meaning that that's a developmental process. Okay? So this is very clear. We need to understand. Please, 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 please don't leave. This is powerful. Get back on if you have to. Somebody says, go ahead and retext your friend and let them know we're still on. I think there's some squirming on on YouTube tonight, and we're losing people and then gaining people, losing people. So let everybody know we're still on. Okay? So life is lived in stages. I need everybody to write this down. Life is lived in stages. One stage, Joyce, one stage prepares you for the next stage. Life is lived out in stages. Some people use the word levels, okay? Some people use the word seasons, okay? But life is lived in stages. And so this is why you have the grade system. You have the grade system because at a certain age, you move from, if you're 5 and you're going to be 6, you go to a new stage, you go to a new grade, because there's an understanding that you have about the previous level you were on. Now that level prepared you for the next stage. You see, life is lived in stages. So we've got to understand that. So when you're dealing, now we're going to bring it in. I've tried to lay a great foundation. We could exegete this text forever and ever and ever and still not be through with it. So I need you to hear this. So when you're dealing with a man, okay, I need you to understand that a man has a certain process, certain stages where certain things are going on with that man. So when I understand this, even as a man, it helped me to deal with certain stages of my life a little bit better because I understood. Now, some of the things that I'm going to talk about is proven statistically, psychologically. These are just things we're talking about off the top of our head, okay? So, number 1, you see this stage, the stage of circumcision. On the 8th day, a Jewish boy was circumcised. You say, how significant is this? This is, I need you to write this down. This is a confirmation of who he is. God help us. The fact that he is circumcised is a confirmation that he's a male. This signifies who he is and who he's supposed to be for the rest of his life. This sets the course of his identity. You see, the spiritual understanding of circumcision, of course, is that it's the peeling back of the heart. It is the cleansing of the heart, the cutting away of the unclean thing. That's what it means in the natural. The spirituality of it, Israel, to confirm the covenant. They would circumcise. This is Judaism. They would circumcise the boy on the 8th day, confirming who he is, confirming the covenant, but also confirming that he's a male, which starts the process. Pearl, Joyce, Miss Young, Delisa, Mama, Clara. It starts the process of how he is going to be developed. Because the development for a woman is different than the development of a man. So the boy is circumcised, signifying that a covenant, that God has a covenant with him, and that he is a male child. Therefore, the course of his development is that of a man. You see. Then he matriculates or ages into 12 years old. 12 years old is the age or the season of accountability. See, I'm gonna help you to understand something. Then he goes from Jesus is 12, found in the temple, because he's found in the temple at the age of 12, moving into 13, because that was the age of accountability. He said, I must be about my father's business. He didn't do that after 8 years old. He didn't do that after 9 years old, because psychologically, emotionally, and culturally, they train their boys to be men. They train their boys to be accountable, responsible. I am designed to carry weight, pressure. I'm designed to think like a man, act like a man, walk like a man. I'm ready to be trained for manhood. You see, at the age of 12. This is why, watch this, mothers. This is why your son, when he's 12 or 13 years old, he don't want to walk with you in the mall. He doesn't want. Now, based upon the maturity level of most of our boys, I think he might need a little walking with somebody. But hear the spirit of what I'm saying. That at 12 and 13, there's an independence that you start to see with a young boy at 12 and 13 years old. Why? Because psychologically something is turning on. Lights are turning on for maturity, language, understanding, thinking. You see. However, in an over-nurtured environment, we will continue to treat a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, if we don't understand him, we'll treat him still like he's 7 or 8. This is why my mama left me at home when I was 9, 10, and 11. My mom and my dad. I was the oldest. I took care of the house and was held accountable if something was out of place when my mom and dad got home. You see, this is why I was telling one of my employees today, I don't need a supervisor. All I needed throughout the process of my life, I didn't say I didn't respect supervisors. I always honored my supervisor. Watch where I'm going. Because once my supervisor told me what my responsibility was, once I knew what to do, I didn't need overseeing. I didn't. You ain't gonna come back to me 2 or 3, 4 times. Did you do? Did you do? Did you do? Like I'm a puppy. No. I don't need watching. I don't need me walking. I don't need what they call those things for the dogs. What they call them, leashes. I don't need a leash. No. Why? I was not taught that by the Marine Corps. I was taught that by my mother and father. You follow up. You follow through. Not at 21. At 12 and 13 years old. And my mom and dad wasn't a Jew. They were not Jewish. They were African Americans. So you got to understand that if you over nurture a boy, he will think at 21 supposed to be serving him. No. I'm just saying. So you got to understand, when you're raising a boy, somebody say when you're raising a man. Come on, talk to me. When you're raising a man, but Clara, I'm so glad you mentioned the micromanaging. If you don't want to be micromanaged, then you got to manage yourself. Because some people will say, I don't want to be micromanaged, but you don't follow through. You're not accountable. You're not responsible. When I come to look at what you're doing, it ain't done. So you're indicating you do need micromanaging. But when you're raising a man, you teach him how to be accountable, responsible, follow through. I'm just giving you examples of my father. My father would say to me, if I don't care if you are a garbage. I'm not nothing smaller. I'm just using these as examples that my daddy would say, I don't care what your line of work is. I don't care what your line of work is. I'm talking about I was 12 and 13. I don't care what your line of work is. Do your job so good. Do it better than anybody else. Are y'all listening to me? I'll never forget that one of my gunnery sergeants in the Marine Corps reiterated some of the things that my daddy would say. Do your job so good that it's difficult to be replaced, for you to be replaced. I was getting these lessons at 12. Never forget my first job as a little boy. I was 7, 8, 9 years old when daddy went up to the corner store and told Mr. Ben, give my son a job. So he was teaching me at 12 and 13 years old to be a man. Okay, 12. At 30 years old, so the stage, circumcision, 12, 30. 18 to from 12 to 30 is 18 years of development, growth. Jesus took on, I need you to hear me now. Jesus took on the world at 30. Jesus took on the world at 30. If you're not ready for the world, by the time you're 30, you're going to need some more classes. You're going to need some more training, because those 18 years is supposed to be, let's move this up to 2023. Those 18 years is supposed to be the time you learn to manage your money. You learn to manage who you are. You learn to manage your emotions. You learn to manage your mind. From 12 to 30, 18 years, you learn how to talk. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to socially interact. You learn how to be committed. You learn how to be accountable, because you're ready for the world. The government was on his shoulders at 30. So for 18 years, I'm teaching you how to deal with pressure. You see, I would go to my dad and I said, well, Dad, how do I handle this? Da, 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 da. Daddy would never let us quit. You see, what was he teaching? Daddy looked like you hard on me. He was teaching me the ability to deal with pressure, because Jesus had the world on his shoulders at 30. At the age of 30, based upon developmental stages and processes, you're supposed to be ready to handle the world. You see, not to say you don't need a mentor for certain things, not to say that you don't need teaching in other areas. I'm talking about, generally speaking, your life should be manageable. So at 12, I'm ready to go to the temple. At 30, I'm ready for the weight of responsibility. You see, so I become a man. Now, Adam was born a man, which tells us several things. That when he's telling us something prophetically, not necessarily in the manifestation. It's a prophetic picture of how a man's supposed to look when he reached manhood. This is why, watch this, this is why the Jews sent men out at 20 for war. Okay, I need you to understand this. Ladies, this is the part that is going to bless you. You see, you've got to understand this about a man's development. He thinks certain things at certain stages of his life. Okay, so at the age of 20, let's look at some things. Are y'all ready? So there's some young 20-year-olds who are watching me, and if they're not out there, pass this on to them, because it'll help them understand themselves. At the age of 20, they sent men out to war. You see? So when you're dealing with a man between the age of 17, 18, 19, and 20, mothers, he's He is born a male, but he's made a man. So understanding his processes help you to know how to deal with him, you see. So it'll teach you it'll help you understand how to teach him, how to train him. Even if you're a single parent, how to interact with him, you see. You cannot condescend a man. You can't talk down at a man. It doesn't matter that you're his supervisor. It doesn't matter that you're his mother. It doesn't matter that you're his grandmother. Boy, I talk to you any kind of way I want to. That's a woman who lacks understanding of who she's dealing with. Do you know a man or a woman, a man or a boy's spirit is not broken by his enemies. It's broken by somebody whose words had power in his life. So you can be married to a man and break his spirit only because of the emotional attachment he has to you. You can break your son's spirit because of your emotional attachment to him. A pastor can break a little boy's spirit only because of how that young man interacts or sees that pastor or leader. You see, this is why when I interact with young boys, no matter how young they are, I don't call them boy. Hey, boy. That's a man. That's a man I'm dealing with, you see. He's not just a male, he's a male becoming a man. So I want to interact with him and I want him to understand that I understand who he is. Watch this. And what I expect from him. You see. I'll never forget this story. I need y'all to hear this story. Keita's little son, Wyatt. We were all leaving. I don't remember what holiday it was, but we was out to the other location preparing something. And of course, she had Wyatt, like she always does. And Wyatt loves his pastor. Wyatt loves his pastor. And so I said, Wyatt, I went outside to observe them going out to the car. And I said, Wyatt, walk your mom to the car. Yes, sir, like he always do. And he says this, watch this. He gets to the car. He said, I must do what my pastor tell me to do. I got to do what my pastor tell me to do. So you see the influence that you have. I'm teaching him. Open the door for your mother. Why? Because in a few years, you're going to be going on a date. And I want you to open your door for that young lady and demonstrate to her you have been taught by a man. You see. So ladies, you must understand, no matter what his age is, he's always becoming a man. You and I can determine what kind of man. You see. I wrote a booklet from The Lion and the Lamb and the Lion, dealing with that the mother basically teaches a little boy the sensitivity about his personality, being sensitive, being respectful, etc. But a man teaches the young boy responsibility, accountability. So to awaken the lion inside of him, you see. But if a boy is over nurtured too long, the lion will die inside of him. You see, a lion will die inside of the boy, and he'll be ill-equipped to deal with life. You see, if you don't give a young boy responsibilities in the home, my baby don't wash dishes. I'm gonna teach you how to wash dishes. I'm gonna teach you how to walk. I'm gonna teach you how to clean. I'm gonna teach you how to clean out the car. How is a boy 16 years old and you still coming home taking out garbage, still cleaning your own car, still no. You're teaching him to look for his mother. You see, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I've told this story 100 times. Y'all laughing at me, but I'll tell it again. So Gabriel comes home as a young teenager. He's a young teenager with a chain on his neck and, looking all, it was nice chain, nice chain, y'all. And I said, what's that? Who you get that from? I said, who you get that from? He said, some girl at school had given him to him. I said, take it back. Take it off and take it back. Daddy, why? I said, we don't take gifts from girls. I didn't want him to think that women are called to serve him like they are his servants and he's some master looking like a little playboy. When a boy is 20 years old, 17, 20, and he's moving into what his focus is, he's managing his appetites because he's strong. Every part of a man's life at 20 is awake. See, everything in him is awakened. So understanding that at that age, 17, 18, 19, 20, on into 27, 28 years old, that's all he can think about is his strength, his appetites. So what should be happening in a man's life between the time he's 20 or in that range and 30 is how to manage his appetites. Not how many girls he can hit, how restrained can he be? Because if he can be restrained in his 20s, the world is his. There's nothing that he can't conquer. You see, David is dealing with the lion and the bears, dealing with his giants, all these things in his early developmental stages of his life. You see, when a man's 30, we see this in Jesus's life. From 30 to 40, purpose is being established. He's laying now his foundation for how the rest of his life is going to look. You can apply some of this to ladies, but we're not talking about women tonight. If the from 20 to 30 is not happening, if he or she is not learning to deal with appetites, learning to restrain their appetites, if we're not doing that in this age bracket, we'll be 40, 50, 60 years old still dealing with the appetites of our 20s. Are y'all listening to me? Learning to manage. And at every stage, we're constantly telling that appetite, those different appetites, sit down, boy, sit down, boy, sit down, boy, sit down, boy. You see? But now, why is that important for women to understand? So when you're interacting with your son between the age of 17 and 20, and then between 20 and 30, you'll know that strength is important to him. You see? And how to manage that strength. Now, if you marry a man in his late 20s and his 30s, you need to know what's still important to him. Because in his late 20s, early 30s, he's now shifting from trying to demonstrate his strength to, I got to find my purpose in life. This is a very confusing time for a man. So if you marry a man who's in his late 20s, early 30s, you might find that he might change up very often because he's looking for himself. He's searching for himself. He's searching for who he is. You see, this is why, let me help some of you all. This is why that most of our cultured men in their 20s are not ready for marriage. Because many times, in many cases, the foundation is so fragile and broken that they're not prepared to take on the responsibilities of what a 30-year-old man did 30 or 40 years ago. You see, not saying it's impossible, it's just that you don't see it that often. Culturally, some ethnicities, there is the environment of maturity. Sometimes people are handed more to work with, We're dealing with broken families. We're dealing with broken situations. We're dealing with all kinds of situations that that are imposed upon our families, that keeps our children from having the proper family environments to grow like they're supposed to grow. So keeping that in mind, but at the same time, single parents, mother, we have to deal with the deck that we've been given. You still can teach your boy responsibility. You can still back up and let him feel some things, feel some of his decisions. Stop rescuing him for everything. These are things that help. So when a boy is 20, strength. When a man is 30, purpose and establishing his future. So if you marry a boy or a young man in his 30s, you got to understand what's going on in his mind. How do you deal with a man who's still a man in between his 30s? He wants to prove himself. So if you date a man in that age, he gonna act like he's smart. He wants to be smart. He wants to be seen as brilliant. You see, he wants to be seen as smart. So there's a lot of competition still there. You see, a lot of proving still there. It's because of where he's at. It's because of where he at in life. He wants to be seen as progressive. He wants to be seen. And this is why men in this age bracket who've had some setbacks, who will deal with shame if they be in their 30s, if they've had a lot of setbacks and their life don't look like their age, they'll be dealing with guilt and shame. This is why Jesus have given apostolic fathers to help men who have had maybe a brother who had a setback and went to prison and lost 10, 12 years of his life. Maybe a brother who made some really, really bad decisions in his 20s, but now he's trying to get himself together. And so we got to help get them. This is why, ladies, when these men start to come into this environment, you got to give them the environment of grace and an environment of growth, because the man of God is already dealing with shame, particularly if he's lost time. You see. So in his 30s, he's searching for purpose. In his 40s, which is the most critical time in a man's life, ladies, in his 40s is the most critical time in a man's life, because now he's questioning himself, reflecting on life. Have I achieved? He's dealing with his regrets. So when you're interacting with a man in his 40s, you can't be his regret. You can't constantly be picking him apart and seeing all the wrong he's doing, particularly if he's a working man, particularly if it's a man that's bringing home the bread, coming home, trying his best, trying to deliver, trying to be a good husband, trying to love you. I'm not talking about radicals now. Leave us alone right now. A lot of times when you're teaching, you hear the response, but what about me? We ain't talking about you right now. We're talking about, can the men have a week? Can we talk about something other than you and your little future and your little purpose? Because everybody want a boyfriend, everybody want a husband, but you don't want to learn how to interact with that man. This is why we're losing men. And this is why women are losing men, because we don't want no understanding about the man we with. I'm trying to help you. When a man is between his 40s and 50s, this is why. Ladies, you talk about menopause. Y'all have menopause is legitimate. Menopause is legitimate, but men have male pauses. Male pause, where the body's going through changes. But a man's menopause is mainly mental pause. In his 40s and his 50s, he's reflecting. Did I do good enough? Am I successful enough? Should I go back to college and get a degree? Oh God, I made mistakes. And so did I achieve enough? They call it midlife crisis, but it's a mental pause, because he's struggling with his own success and worth in his 40s and his 50s. Why? The question might be why? Because he sees based upon how men are living statistically, he sees more years behind him than he do in front of him. So he's wondering, oh my God, this is why this season has to be guarded. Ladies, when you're dealing with a man between his 40s and his 50s, this is why this season has to be guarded. Why? Because this is the season where sometimes a man wants to prove he still got it. He still is powerful. This is why, ladies, when a man between his 40s and 50s, your affirmation, I'm not talking about unrealistic stuff, but your affirmation, your acceptance, your affirming his achievements, you're affirming who he is, you're affirming that he's doing a great job, he's awesome. Baby, the family wouldn't be what it is without you. But not just without you, but without your income, without your hard work. If he's a doctor, he needs to be affirmed. If he's a janitor, he needs to be affirmed. If he's a mechanic, he needs to be affirmed. Why? Because this is the age or the season of a lot of questions about his own identity. And sometimes we lack the knowledge of understanding a season that a man is in. This is the season where you'll find your man could have been very talkative, but he'll start to be more quiet during these seasons because he's thinking, he's processing. Sometimes he's doubting. Sometimes he feels like a failure. And you're saying, watch this. You're saying, but he ain't. He's so successful. Number one, it doesn't matter how successful he's being. He's wondering if he achieved enough. And then, if the lady if the lady at the copy machine is affirming him and you ain't affirming him at home, you see the cycle? A man in his 50s and 60s, he's thinking about legacy. He's thinking about does he have value? He starts to look in the mirror and he sees his skin changing. He's seeing his complexion change. He's seeing his hair turn. Oh yeah, we can paint it black, baby. We could dye it black. But at the end of the day, the real deal is it's gray. And when you're in your 50s and your 60s, you start wondering, oh my God, what legacy will I leave? Will my children remember me? Will they keep me alive? You see? So this is why, listen to me, ladies, listen to me. So when you're around a man in his 50s and his 60s, you're not just listening to him because let's hear what he's saying. No. You're listening to him because the season of life that he in, what he says, he's dropping nuggets. He's dropping wisdom. And a man in that bracket, age, in his 50s and his 60s, if he's in an environment where people value his wisdom, he'll live longer. He'll live longer. If they affirm that daddy. This is why Jacob in Genesis 48-49 gathered all his sons and his children together and gave each one of them a prophetic word for their destiny. I see the value in him prophesying over them, but the value they gave to him, value, significance, affirmation, legacy. Will I be remembered? Will my name still be in the earth? And a man's legacy is tied to his children. You see, but this is what's happening. These are the important things. So if I understand this about a man, I understand how to interact with him because I know what he needs at all these stages of his life. I know what he needs at between 50s and the 60s. I know what he needs between the 30s and the 40s. I know what he needs between the 20s. You see, sometimes even when you know the answer. You see, a man needs to know that you're hearing him. He's listening. You value him. You see, don't lose your man because you don't know what season he's in. Don't lose your man emotionally. That don't. And I listen. I don't need anybody. I do not confirm cheating. Don't cheat. I'm not saying cheating is right. I'm trying to teach you how to not even go through a cheating cycle. You see, but understanding your man, taking the time to learn your man, taking the time to learn who he is in these different seasons. Ask more questions than you do conversating. You see, that's what I'm asking. God bless you. I love you. We're out of time, but we're not out of word. I'm so grateful for you. You have been a wonderful, wonderful audience today. Thank you so much for being here at the Rhema Nation. My. Listen, let's go ahead and give tonight. I'm grateful for your being here. And I wanted to continue. I may even continue to talk about it. Get your friends, get people who need to hear how to understand, how to how to win people, not lose people. How to, but understanding. And we'll do a teaching, and I'll have some ladies in the studio, and we're going to teach the men how to understand women at those different stages of their lives. But I wanted this because this was the week of men, and we just celebrated men. I wanted to continue to affirm men and wanted men to know you're significant, you're important, you're connected, and there's somebody. I'm telling you, there's something fresh is happening in the church. We need to get ready for it, because men are coming like never before. From the east, the west, the north, and the south. They're coming. They are coming. So God bless you. Listen, I'm trying to get men prepared, but trying to get the women prepared for the men, but trying to get the men prepared for marriages. And then once they marry, prepare them to know how to treat you as a woman, and then for you to know how to treat them once you marry. We're going to get these women married to men of God. God bless you. Listen, the ways to give is on the screen. The ways to give is on the screen. It's a good opportunity for you to sow into this word. Listen, I want to encourage everybody tonight. Get your good offering ready. When you give and you tithe to God, there is something that, listen, I need everybody to hear me. Your giving gives you access. Your giving gives you access. Your giving gives you access to a part of the kingdom that is unexplainable. Your giving shows God that He can trust you with blessings. I don't want to mishandle the blessings of the Lord. So I want everybody that's on tonight. Oh, everything went off. Hello, hello, hello. Can you all still see me?
Is your timer back on here? That's us.
Hello, can you all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, they're still here. Okay. Listen, we're having some type of technical difficulty, but listen, I need every person that's on, get a seed, and sow a seed to your church. I need everybody to sow a seed to your church. If your church has been a blessing to you, sow a seed. If your church has been a has opened up doors for you, have just stood by you. So nothing happened on our end. So the studio gave us the impression that something had happened where everything was off. So anyway, nothing happened on their end. So God bless you all. Listen, so get your seed ready. Get your seed ready and be a blessing. You see the ways to give. I need every person find a seed and say, I'm going to sacrificially give. Your sacrifice will move God's heart to move on your behalf for anything. I'm telling you, the doors and the windows are opening up for God's people. Get your seed, every person. Do something that you would not normally do. Do something that you would not normally do. Get a seed ready and say, I want to bless my church. All right? It's 8:05. Take the next 5 minutes and say, I'm gonna sow. Pray in your spirit and say, hey, I'm gonna give $60. I'm gonna give $600. Okay. Um, and MJ, I agree with you. This studio, listen, do y'all like this studio? Number one, this studio, the ambiance of this studio, MJ, I have to give it up to her. But my media staff, Kesia, Wendy, these folk are phenomenal. I want to say to all of my folk how much I appreciate you all. Listen, it takes a dream, it takes a team to make the dream come to pass. And again, I want to say many of you not only supported my last book that I wrote, but you came to the launch, you came to the book signing, you got the book. Some of you are reading. I'm hearing powerful, powerful testimonies about the book. I just want to say again, I keep hearing testimonies every single day. Somebody's calling, texting, saying, man, what did you do? This was so powerful. Thank you so very, very, very much. I need every person, if you're tied to this church, love this church, love your pastor, love this anointing, I need everybody to get a seed prepared and sow a seed in this ministry and say, hey, I am awful glad to be a part of this church. Let's do a Tuesday explosion of giving today because we love our church. Thank you, Brother John Passmore, for reading the book. Paul Daniels, one of our media person. Darius, one of our media people. Oh God, so many folk. Tori, our musician, he's in our media ministry, our musician. He's a little everything too. Look out, Paul. I think Tori catching up with you. He gonna be a jack of all trades. But I'm telling you, we've got a team of men. We got a team of women that are making it happen. I cannot thank you all enough for making the dream come to pass. God bless you all. I love you. Listen, even though we go off, you can still give. You can give through Cash App, all those other things. Listen, I love you, and I'll see you real soon. Guess what? At the corner this Thursday. You don't want to miss it. I love you guys. We'll see y'all soon.
All I can say is wow. That word definitely did not disappoint. If you would like to sow into Rhema Cathedral or the anointing, all of our convenient giving methods are on your screen. If you would like to become a partner to this ministry, please send a text using the information on your screen. We welcome you to join us for a live worship experience at 11 a.m. at our Williamsburg Road location. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time for the Rhema Word virtual experience.